that moment the sun cleared the horizon, its brilliance blinded me, and I reflexively closed my eyes. I've seen the sunrise many times, before and since, but I've never seen it as bright as it was that time. When I opened my eyes again, the girl was gone. I didn't know why she went, how she had left so quickly, or where she had gotten off to. The one thing I did know was that I wanted to meet her again. It takes 29 days for the moon to go from full to new to full again. And that's how long I had to wait before I could see her again. It would have made for a really good story if I could have said I spent that entire time thinking about her, but that's not the way life works. I'm sure I did other things that month, but looking back I can hardly remember them. I did spend quite a bit of time thinking about her, remembering her smile and her laugh, kicking myself for forgetting to ask her name. Sorry about that. Okay, I should have asked, I know, but the coin said not to. Constantly checking and rechecking the exact moment of the full moon to be sure that I showed up on the right night. I would actually probably go there every night. And finally it was that night, and I found myself once again standing out on the beach, looking up at the moon. Were you waiting long? I turned around and found her standing next to me. I wasn't really expecting you to be here. It's rare that I get to see someone a second time. Hey, I said I was going to be here, didn't I? You did. I'm the type of guy who keeps his word. When I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'll be there. Besides, a guy would have to be crazy not to come back to see you again. Or did you not hear what I said? You left in an awful hurry last time. I didn't even get a chance to ask your name. Mary. It's Mary Harper. Well, Mary Harper, it's good to see you again, after almost an entire month. It's good to see you too, but for me it feels like we were together only yesterday. I didn't exactly pick up what she was saying here, so I just said what I was thinking before. I think it was the same way for me. I spent the entire month thinking about you. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but that's sweet. I didn't know what to say after that, and so I didn't say anything. Instead, I simply motioned down the beach, and we started walking together down the shore. It wasn't long before Mary broke the silence by asking me a question. I told you a little about my family, but I haven't asked you about yours yet. What's your family like? When I'm on an island here, I live with my own aunt and uncle, but back home I live with my father, and sister. A sister? Is she older or younger? She's 2 years younger than me. Do you get along with her well? I thought about how to answer this for a second, and decided honesty was the best policy. Not really. We fight like cats and dogs. At this she gave a gentle laugh. What do you fight about? Oh, it's never about the same two things. Put the two of us in a room together for a few hours, and all of a sudden there's something and we're at it again. I was pretty sure I didn't want to keep going on about how my sister and I fought all the time, so I needed to find a way to get out of talking about it. Look over there! I shouted the first thing that came to my mind, and took off running down the beach. She followed, chasing after me. After a little bit I slowed down and let her catch me. Got you! She said, laughing, and as she grabbed hold of my shirt. And we kept walking together down the beach. As the night went by, we talked about many things. To be honest, I don't really remember exactly what we said. What stayed with me are the sensations. The smell of the salt in the sea air. The sound of the waves hitting the shore. The way the moonlight made her skin glow. The feel of the sand as I tripped on a rock and fell. The warmth of Mary's hand as she reached out and held me back up. Are you alright? I think so. The sound was soft. I'm glad. What did you trip on? I think it was a rock or something. I turned to look at where I fell. There were rocks there, enough that it would have been hard to assign any of one's sole blame. Be careful, I wouldn't want you to be hurt. I nodded, gave the rocks one last look, and turned to start walking again, but just then a golden glint hit my eye. I went over to where I saw the glint and started digging. After a few seconds, Mary came over to where I was. Did you find something? I don't. I was going to say I didn't know, but I stopped myself, for I had found what I was looking for. In my hands was a gold ring. I headed up to Mary to take a look at it. It's a ring. I examined it a little more closely. It was far too light to be made of real gold, and there were scratches where the gold plating was worn off. I headed up so Mary could have a better look at it. It's beautiful. It's not real. Someone took a metal ring and plated gold onto it to make it look nicer. But it's so pretty. If you like it, you can have it. Can I? Sure. Can you put it on for me? I didn't need to answer this, as she held out her hand. I took it and slid the ring onto her finger. It was a perfect fit. Thank you. With that, she grabbed onto my arm, and together we started walking down the beach. Before we knew it, it was dawn, and we found ourselves in the same place where we parted a month ago. Can you stay and watch the sunrise this time? I'm sorry, I can't. Well then, when can I see you again? I can only see you on the night of the full moon. Even though I thought she might say this, it still hurt a little to hear it. I didn't know how I could go a month without seeing her. How come? Why can't I see you before then? Because I'm a ghost. What? Well, I thought she might be some kind of not human being, but a ghost. So, we are basically dating a ghost. Kind of. Okay, let's continue. She said it as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. As if someone telling you that she's a ghost is something that happens every day. Not knowing exactly what to say, I just stood there in silence. Eventually, Mary decided to elaborate on this, to tell me her story. I became a ghost after I died. Well, now I'm even more confused. After I died along with my family in the epidemic that hit this island when I was 10. For some reason I came back on the night of the full moon. I just found myself here on the island. I came back on the night of the next full moon, and the next, and as far as I know, everyone after that. I always come back on the night of the full moon. I can do whatever I want that night, but when the sun rises, everything goes dark, and suddenly it's the next month. It's been that way for hundreds of years. Holy moly! Years? Hundreds? God damn it. It was boring for a while, but eventually people came back to the island. Once in a while someone would meet me, like you did. We would talk for a while, but most of them were only interested in talking to me because I was a ghost. They always went away after a while. I guess there's only so much I can say about it. Come to think of it, you never asked me about it. Didn't you figure it out? Of course I knew. I had no idea. Of course I knew. I had no idea. Well, I had no idea you might be a ghost. I think something different. But okay, should I flip the coin again? Of course I knew. In respect, it was obvious, the way she disappeared with that first sunrise, the way she knew nothing about things everyone alive today knows about. But it took her saying it for me to finally put the pieces together and begin to accept it. Finally she broke the silence. The sun's up and I need to be going. Don't go. But I grabbed her hand and pulled her close to me. Stay with me and watch the sunrise. Please. We didn't say anything after that. We just stood there, hand in hand, watching the sky slowly brighten. I could feel her left hand in my right, as we stood there looking out over the ocean. And then the sun rose, and suddenly my right hand was empty. I turned to look, but the girl was standing there. Who was standing there was gone. I guess she is a ghost, I said, to no one in particular. She had told me, and I believed her, but until she disappeared, there was still a little bit of doubt. I spent the morning standing at that cliff, thinking about it. I had to set her free. I didn't really matter. Oh crap! So, okay, I would like to set her free, but it didn't really matter. What is this about? It didn't really matter. Let's go with that. I realized that it wasn't natural for someone like Mary to be trapped for hundreds of years as a ghost, condemned to show up only on the night of the full moon. And despite my feelings for her, I came to the conclusion that the best thing I could do was to help her find peace. I spent the next month doing research in the island's small library. I poured through every book they had on the occult, ghosts, magic, witchcraft, things like that. I read 2 or 3 books a day. When I finished the few books the island's library had, I had them order more from the mainland. It got to the point where most of the librarians knew me by name, and the rest knew me by my reputation as the college guy obsessed with the occult. The thing with those books was that while most of their content was made up, deep under the surface some contained a small grain of truth. The only way I could figure it out was to read everything I could on the subject, and figure out what it all had in common. On the night of the next full moon, I was ready to put what I had learned into practice. I returned to a spot where we met on the first 2 nights and watched the ocean waves slowly rolling in. Mary was there waiting for me. "You came back?" "I wasn't going to leave you alone after all that." She doesn't say anything to this. "So, what are we going to do tonight?" "Usually, I spend the night walking around the island, like we did the other nights." "I see. So, may I escort you?" "Of course." She grabbed my arm and we started off on our customary journey around the island. We didn't talk as much this time. We didn't need to. Just being in each other's presence was enough. The chill in the air contrasted with the warmth of her skin. Who would have thought that a ghost could be warm? We had a few short conversations to pass the time, but mostly we walked in silence. The events of last time weighed heavily on us, as if we were both waiting for the other shoe to drop. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and came right out and asked her the question I needed to. "Mary, is there something you regret never being able to do?" The key inside the kernel of truth that I discovered in all those books was that the thing that makes a ghost is regret. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Is there something you wanted to do but were never able to?" She thought about this for a while. Finally she responded in a barely audible whisper. "I wanted to be a bride." I knew it. I had come up with a list of things Mary could possibly regret, and this was on top of the list. She had said her dream was to get married. Heck, her dress even looked like a wedding dress. Maybe. I knew that if I loved her, there was only one thing I could do. So I got down on one knee and said, "Mary Harper, will you marry me?" She was stunned by this, and stood there for a few seconds, saying nothing. Finally she spoke. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to marry me?" "The most sure that I've ever been." "Then yes!" I got up and we embraced, but she was still a little confused. "But how can we do it? I can only go out at night, and I don't think that any minister would marry off a ghost." "Don't worry, we're gonna have a common law marriage. Common law? As long as we say we are married and make vows to each other, it counts. Really? So when can we get married? If you are ready, we can do it right now. I am. Then let's do this. I pulled out of my back pocket a sheet containing wedding vows that I had prepared. I changed my voice to sound as if I was some sort of minister and began reading. Me speaking as a minister. Do you take this woman to be your wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness or in health, as long as you both exist? In my normal voice, I responded, I do. I turned to her and repeated the vow for her. Do you take this man to be your wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness or in health, as long as you both exist? I do. We stood there for a second before I finally continued. Well, that's it. We're married. All that's left is the kiss. She came close to me and we embraced. I closed my eyes, waiting for her lips. Thank you. I heard her whisper, and I felt the warmth of her lips as they touched mine. Then I felt nothing but the cool night air. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. My granddaughter's interruption stops my telling of the story. You kissed someone who wasn't grandma. You married someone who wasn't grandma. Well, that was before I met your grandmother. In fact, that's how I first met your grandmother. She was working as an intern at the library. And after that, I never saw Mary again. She seems unconvinced. Was that really a true story? You have my word. She thinks about this for a few seconds before replying. I don't believe you. Tell me another story. Not tonight. It's after your bedtime. But... No buts. Now it's time to get to sleep. I turned off the lights so that she could finally go to bed. If I didn't, then my granddaughter would stay up all night and never go to sleep. My granddaughter Mary, whose name I suggested to my son-in-law while we were waiting in the hospital. My granddaughter, named for the girl I was married to for a few moments on a moonlight beach long ago. Ending 3. Married for moments. Well, that would be it. To be honest, I liked it. But I think I expected a different ending, but well, it wasn't terrible. I mean, you set her free after all. I don't know if you could be with her. I need to check that out. If you can, I will get that ending for sure. Alright, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you then in the next one.